Hours later, 2 or 3, Kirsty couldn't tell, they were still surrounded on all sides by trees and still going slowly down. The gully hadn't widened into a steep slope. They'd made their way around fallen logs, under low-hanging branches, and once through a dry creek bed. Lancelot paused to sniff the rocks and gravel and gone right on. Kirsty's tongue was dry and clumsy in her mouth. Sweat prickled constantly at her neck and forehead. The sun had dipped in the sky below the treetops, lowering the temperature a few degrees. For some time now, the air had been clear of smoke. Fire was consuming the forest above them, gorging itself on the thick stands of upland timber. We should have reached the road by now. She said aloud the words that had been running through her head for some time. It was the first time she'd spoken since her outburst at Jessie earlier. "I know," said Jessie. "Are we lost?" "I think so." "Me too." "What do we do?" "Just keep heading downhill. That's all we can do. This mountain can't go on forever. Sooner or later, we're going to come out at the bottom." "And where will we be then? Will we be on the flats where the ranch is?" "I can't say for sure." "Kirsty, if you've got any better ideas." "No, Jessie, I don't." She remembered the view she had seen earlier, of mountains running into mountains as far as the eye could see. What if they were going deeper into the mountains instead of toward the valley? Trapped among the trees, surrounded and crowded by brown bark trunks on every side, she found it impossible to get her bearings. Even the sun overhead was no help, so densely shrouded by a canopy of evergreen branches that it was impossible to pinpoint its location in the sky. A narrow deer trail crossed their path. "It's got to go somewhere," said Kirsty. "Let's follow it." On his own, Lancelot turned right onto the trail. "Not that direction," said Jessie. "Turn him around." Lancelot shook his head, refusing to go down the left trail. "Come on, Lancelot. This is no time to be stubborn," said Jessie. He swatted the pony with his hand. "He wants to go the other way." "But it goes straight up. We want to get down the mountain, so we've got to go this way, to the left." Kirsty drummed her heels against the pony. "Come on, don't be so difficult." Lancelot shuffled reluctantly to the left, down the deer trail, his ears pinned in protest. The trail switched back and forth through the forest, dropping with each turn. With each step down the mountainside, Kirsty's spirits lifted. The trees crowded up to each other, wide-skirted cedars brushing the stubby branch firs. The air beneath their dark branches was sweet and cool and blessedly free of the stench of smoke. The trail dropped sharply, skirting large boulders, then leveled out. Kirsty peered through the trees. "Jessie, I can see light up ahead." "I can too. It must be the road." "Come on, Lancelot, we're nearly there." She chirped, but the pony had already picked up the pace. The trees gave way. "No," groaned Jessie. "No." They were at the edge of a rock cliff. Kirsty looked down the steep slopes of roughly hewn rocks, strewn about the mountainside like the aftermath of a giant toddler's temper tantrum. Stunted shrubs and the occasional skinny tree clung to tiny pockets of dirt beneath the rocks. "We're not anywhere near the bottom." Jessie slipped down from Lancelot. "I'm going to look for a way down." "No, Jessie," said Kirsty, dismounting. "It's too steep." His brown head disappeared below the cliff edge. Kirsty loosened the girth and lifted the saddle up on Lancelot's back to let the air through, the way Lucy had taught her. The pony shook all over, flapping the saddle strings. She settled the saddle back into place. Towing Lancelot along, she explored the cliff top. It ended in a deep cleft of jagged rock, impassable except by mountain goats. She leaned out as far as she dared. The rock cliffs covered this part of the mountainside as far as she could see. Kirsty retreated, turning around. The mountain rose above her, trees anchored into the steep slope. She peered into their dark shadows, but there was no sign of the deer trail. They were going to have to turn around and retrace their steps. Playing out the reins to the end, she peered over the cliff. "Jessie, where are you?" "Over here." A scraggy bush shook. "I'm on a ledge." "Hang on, let's see where it goes." "Kirsty, how are you with heights?" "Oh, not very good. I get dizzy on a ladder." The reins suddenly tightened. Lancelot held his head high, his attention fixed on the trees above him. Kirsty's gut twisted with dread. She followed the pony's gaze and sighed with relief. The sky was clear and blue. Then, as she watched, a thick white cloud crested the trees, drifting down the mountainside towards the cliff. "Jessie, we've got to get out of here. We've got to go back." The cloud was spreading, a long quilt of fluffy white down floating slowly over the trees. She squinted, detecting a faint glimmer. Abruptly, the treetops began to glow, orange and scarlet flames writhing through them. "Fire!" she screeched. "Jessie, it's coming!" "I'm right here." She saw the top of his brown hair, watched as he grabbed a hunk of long grass to pull himself up over the edge. She moved forward to help him. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw the grass handhold flip up, exposing an underside of dry gray dirt. It began to slide. Jesse's eyebrows arched in surprise. His other hand clawed at the rock face. Kirsty dove to her knees, flinging out her hands. She felt Jesse's fingers brush hers, and then he was gone.
Oh no. Where's my money?
Thank you very much.
Where's my money?